Welcome. Welcome dear student in one another session. Myself Darshana Sandeep Shinde and our today's discussion topic is centrally acting relaxants and anti-Parkinsonian drugs. Learning outcomes of our today's sessions are students should be able to understand centrally acting muscle relaxants, anti-Parkinson drugs and what is meant by Parkinsonism also with its adverse effect, pharmacological action, and therapeutic uses. Let's start our session. First of all, we see centrally acting muscle relaxants. The muscle relaxant, the drug can be effectively reduce the rigidity of the muscle without affecting the consequousness and normal voluntary movement of the muscle. These conditions prove to be valuable for the surgeons during the operative procedures for achieving the satisfactory muscle relaxation. These are also useful for the relieving the convulsions of the tetanus, strychnine poisoning, drug-induced convulsions, and various spastic disorders. The centrally acting muscle relaxants act on the selective area in the central nervous system, thus effectively decrease the skeletal muscle tone and involuntary movement. These class include the following drugs: mefensin, methacarbamol, chlorsaxazole, then methaxazolone and diazepam. First of all, we see the mefensin. Mefensin is an odorless white crystalline powder freely soluble in alcohol, chloroform, ether but rather insoluble in the water. See the pharmacological action of it. The site of depressant action is said to be on the midbrain, brainstem at the level of the thalamus and the below. In the spinal cord, perhaps at the interneurysal neuron or the polysynaptic pathway. Mefensin does not block the neuromuscular transmission. It antagonizes the strychnine conversion as it has a selective action on the extragration reflex activity. Mefensin can also control the epileptic seizures within 50 seconds. Mefensin has a central sedative action and has been found to be useful in the certain psychotic states. Mefensin possesses analgesic action with the antispasmodic action. It can be used to obtain the muscular relaxation in the surgical anesthesia but not quite satisfactory for this purpose. Damage to veins suitable does not provide a muscular relaxation and relief from the types of the tremors as occur in the Parkinsonism. It has also been tried in a tetanus, but effect of the single dose is a temporary and hemolysis have been reported. That is, hemolysis means the loss of or hemorrhage in the veins. Dose and preparation involves for the oral dose, tablet 250 to 500 milligram or capsules are also available. For parenteral preparation, sterile solutions of 10 milligram per ml or oral and 100 ml of ampoules are convenient one. The intravenous dose is 0.5 to 3 gram given slowly. Then methocarbamol, that is methocarbamol. It is a central nervous system depressant traditionally suggested for use in acute painful musculoskeletal conditions such as the muscle tensions, pains associated with the anxiety states. The exact mechanism is not known. It is a thought that the muscle relaxation is due to the sedative property of the drug. The side effects are common with the CNS depressant and includes the drowsiness, dizziness, light headache. Then chlorzoxazole, it is also act as a muscle relaxant by virtue of its CNS depressant effect. Its exact mechanism of action is not known. the beneficial effect due to the sedative property same as the methocarbazole for the relief of the muscle spasm. The most frequent side effects are also same: drowsiness, dizziness, nausea, vomiting, heartburn, constipation and diarrhea. These are quite different from the methocarbamol. Then diazepam. The muscle relaxation by the diazepam is due to the depression of the CNS. They increases the seizure thresholds and act as a anticonvulsants. Diazepam given parenterally really blocks the convergence induced by the chemical and electrical stimuli in the animals. The drug acts on the neuron containing GABA, which is inhibitory action, and it's mainly responsible for the anticonvulsants action on the drug. Then we see the Parkinsonism and anti-Parkinsonian drugs. Parkinson's disease or Parkinson's disease is a disorder in the dopaminergic fibers. The pyramidal system, that is basal ganglia and substantia nigra, it controls the body movement by balance between the cholinergic excitatory and dopaminergic inhibitory influences. In Parkinson's disease, there is a progressive loss of the dopaminergic fibers due to the decrease the number of the melanin containing the pigmented neurons, that is in a substantia nigra, which is present in the substantia nigra. Therefore, the balance of control of the extrapyramidal system is lost and the symptoms arise because of the cholinergic excitatory predominance unopposed by the inhibitory dopaminergic influences. Thus, Parkinsonism is characterized by the muscular rigidity and tremors and akinesia. In addition, the certain patients excessive salivation, then seborrhea, mood change, liver damage may be present. Anti-Parkinsonian drugs therapy therefore aim at the restoring the balance. Akinesia means the neurology absent or decreased voluntary movement, that is pharmacology temporary paralysis of the muscles. We see the responses. This is the normal responses of dopamine fibers, and after we see the loss of the dopaminergic fibers. This is the normal response, and after that this one is the decreased response of the dopamine releasing from the synapse. This one is the decreasing response. Drugs therefore can be classified as follows: anti-Parkinson drugs, those which increase the dopaminergic activity. Example of its levodopa, bromocriptine and amantadine. Then those reducing the cholinergic activity. Example of its benzotropine and orphanadrine. Those used for the treating the symptoms such as mood change and excessive salivation, then seborrhation, etc. Then first we see the levodopa. Levodopa is a dopamine precursor. Dopamine, when administered systematically, does not cross the blood-brain barrier, while levodopa can cross it. In the basal ganglia, levodopa is metabolized to active compound dopamine. Levodopa is thus indicated for the symptomatic treatment of the Parkinsonism. About 70% of the patient with the Parkinsonism respond favorably to the levodopa therapy. But after about 2 to 3 years, the response diminishes. It is also in the combination with the anticholinergic agents, antihistaminergic agents, amantadine and carbidopa to help to control the various side effects of the drug therapy and underlying the disease process. These are the benefits of the levodopa, but some side effects it should also have. Mm, Abnormal involuntary movement such as the chewing motion, bobbing of the head and neck, arrhythmia are such as sinus tachycardia, arterial flutter. Then premature vascular beats may be occur. In addition, nausea and vomiting are frequently observed with the levodopa administration. Then second is bromocriptine. Bromocriptine is a dopamine receptor stimulant and inhibitor of the prolactin secretions. It stimulates the dopaminergic receptor in the basal ganglia to treat the signs and symptoms of the Parkinsonism. Anti-Parkinsonism effects may be observed within the 1 to 2 hours of initiating therapy. Dosage of bromocriptine must be adjusted according to the patient response and tolerance during the initiation bromocriptine therapy. Levodopa may should be maintained or levodopa therapy should be maintained one to avoid the severe side effects. The therapy should be started with the small dose and increase gradually. Hypotension, involuntary movements, then headache, migraine, dizziness, lightheadedness, then sedations have been reported as a side effect of bromocriptine therapy. The next one is amantadine. Amantadine is an antiviral drug and is known to reduce the clinical manifestation of the Parkinsonism. The anti-Parkinsonian activity may be due to the blocking of the reuptake of the dopamine, resulting in the accumulation of the dopamine in the presynaptic cleft of the neuron in the basal ganglia. In higher doses, it may cause the release of the dopamine into the synaptic clefts. It does not treat the underlying disease but is quite useful in the treating the symptoms associated with the Parkinsonism and drug induced extrapyramidal reactions. Summary: in this session, we cover the point centrally acting muscle relaxant, then anti-Parkinson drug and Parkinsonism, and anti-Parkinson drugs with its adverse effect, pharmacological action, and therapeutic uses. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you have any queries, this is my mail ID. Contact me. Thank you.